awesome guest speaker, Dr. Terri Reid. Dr. Reid is one of the most well-loved media personalities in Jamaica, and we feel so honored to have her join us to inspire our scholars and all of us this evening. She uses her platform to motivate and advocate for positive change for individuals and the world at large. She lives every day knowing that there is more to each of us. We are not defined by what we study or what our professions are. We are defined by our ability to embrace failure, adapt, learn, grow, and evolve. I love that. Thank you for joining us this evening, Dr. Reid, and over to you.
Oh, thank you so very much to our MC, Lisa. Normally, I'm in the position that you are in, but thank you so very much for having me. To the chairman of the foundation, the chairman of Separate Limited, to the management and staff, to the Separate parents, as well as the students. Good evening. Congratulations on making us thus far. I'd just like to say commendations to the Separate Foundation. I was watching the video. All the things that you have done and the positive impact that you're having within your communities. And on behalf of the citizens of Jamaica, thank you so very much. For those of you who are recipients, to the students, I'm talking about the scholars, our change makers. I'm honored to be here because I was a recipient of a scholarship when I was going to high school. All I wanted to become was a veterinarian. You heard Mr. Pandui there say that I'm a vet and I should come and look at his cows. All I wanted to be was a veterinarian, and I set on my trail from prep school to high school, and I just did not have enough money to pursue it at the university level. And so if I didn't receive a scholarship, I probably would not be sitting right here as Dr. Terri Reid. And so it is a privilege, it is a privilege when persons see the value that you offer, when persons and institutions see the power that you are, and they give you that opportunity. Don't waste it. Take it and run with it. So I know I don't have a lot of time, so let me jump into it right now. But for students who have access to the chat room, I want you to drop in the chat and tell me, what is it that you would like to be? What is it that you would like to do? Or what is it that you would like to change? And it doesn't have to be long if you have access to the chat. I'm not too certain if you're just watching, but what would you like to be? Or what would you like to do? Or what change would you like to be a part of? You can go ahead and drop it in the chat room as I speak. So I know that I don't have a lot of time, so let me get right into it. One of the top things or the top qualities that a change maker must have is that someone says, an actress, fantastic. I would like to become a pathologist. Thank you, Marsha. Marsha, thank you. Dion said, I'd like to be an actress. Come on, keep it going. I would like to know, because if we're talking about being change makers, you have to kind of have an idea of what it is you would like to do. So the number one quality, or the number one thing that you need to have as a change maker and a game changer, is that you have to know who you are and what you are about. What are the values? I see pilot, I see doctor, I see mechanic, I see engineer. What is it about you that you are going to allow to stand out? You see, what happens is that we have a lot of scholars who do very well at the primary and the prep school level. And then when they get to high school, something happens. There is a change. All of a sudden, they want to fit in. They want to be more like what everyone wants them to be. And I can speak to that, because in prep school, while I was at prep school, I was always the person who was the head girl. I was the form captain. I was the house captain. I was the person who was always called to speak to give the vote of thanks. I was always excelling at the sports. I was excelling at art. And there were children who used to make me feel badly about being good at what I was good at. There were persons who said I was extra because I was fantastic. People called me extra because I got great grades. There were persons who questioned everything about me, and you know what I started to do? I started to doubt myself. I started to tell myself, well, maybe you don't have to answer all the questions in class. Maybe you can give someone else a chance. And so what I started to do was I tried to shrink. And what I realized was that the more that I tried to shrink was the unhappier I was. And so what I'm here to do is I'm here to remind you that as you go into these different spaces, high school is a huge environment, and you're going to be around other children who no doubt will try to make you feel bad about your grades, about being excellent, about being exemplary as a student leader. You will have to remind yourself of who you are and why you are here, and you will have to be able to push back. You will have to be able to look at those persons and say, hey, I may not be your cup of tea, but I'm on my way. And a perfect example of that was when I was invited to audition for a role at prep school. At the time, I was the student leader. I was the student of the year. And I remember I did not go for the audition because, again, I didn't want everyone to think that I was being too much. And so I went to the classroom, and I stayed in the classroom while the auditions were going on. And I recall when my principal sent a student to me, and she asked me, Mr. Project asked me, Terri Karelle, why aren't you auditioning for the Christmas play? I told her, it's okay. I want to give someone else a chance. And she said, that's not how it works. Your responsibility is to be true to yourself, and therefore, if it's something that you want to do, go ahead and do it. It is not your responsibility to fit in or to make other persons feel worthy. It's their responsibility to grow, and it is your responsibility to shine. And that is what I will say. Remind yourself of who you are and what you stand for, and kindly do not allow yourself to be swayed by peer pressure. And that's going to come in many different shapes and forms, and you're going to have to be able to identify it and to push back against it. Number 2, and Mr. Pandu spoke about it, empathy. So now that you know who you are and you understand that you have this scholarship and you have to maintain the grades, you have to work hard, you have to commit, please understand that it's not only going to be about your grades or getting straight A's or getting trophies and accolades. Sure, that's going to feel good, but at the end of the day, it cannot be about me, and I, and wanting the spotlight for yourself. A real change maker, a true change maker starts to ask, how can I help those around me? How will I react and respond and accept persons who are very different from me? They may look differently from me. They may learn differently from me. These might be students, fellow students who live with special needs or with disabilities. Am I laughing at other persons? Am I bullying other persons? Because if you do not have empathy to understand other communities, especially the vulnerable ones, then you become a part of the problem. So we need to be empathetic. We need to understand other persons, and we need to expose ourselves to other people. So you might be asking, so Terri Karelle, what do you mean? Could you give me an example? Well, I took the bus when I was at Campion College. There weren't a lot of persons who took the bus, but I sure did. And I would take the bus from Papine all the way down to Halfway Tree. And in Papine, there's a school called Listomere High School, and a lot of us don't know about it and will probably never know about it. And it is a school for deaf students. Not all of them are deaf. Some of them are hard of hearing, and some can hear just like you and I, but they have parents who are deaf, so they have to learn sign language. And every single evening when I took that bus, I used to see other students mock, jeer, and bully these students who were deaf. And at the time, I was young. At the time, I wasn't big. I was a nobody. But what I understood was that what was taking place was wrong. Persons on the bus would laugh. Adults would laugh because they didn't see it as something very big. And I remember stepping in and saying, stop, that is wrong. That is unkind. And what I realized was that whenever I stepped in, the bullying would stop. And so that is just a very quick example to show you that you have the power to intervene and to speak on the behalf of someone else, but you have to be empathetic yourself, to understand that you can be the voice for persons who are voiceless. And sometimes it also means that you have to now put yourself in the position to learn from these different persons in the community. So I have learned good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, how are you, thank you. And that is just a simple communication that I can do with members of the deaf community, just to say, I see you, I'm aware of you, you are valuable, and you are worthy. So get the grades, know who you are, but now you need to be empathetic to know the people who are around you and how you can work with them and respect them even if they are different from you. Alignment. Birds of a feather flock together. I don't know if your parents use that one, but birds of a feather flock together. If you want to be a change maker, and if you are on a path and you get on your train and you have a destination that you are getting to, you have to be traveling with people who are on the same path as you. Persons who are going to be naysayers, time wasters, detractors, they're gonna have you swerve. And we can't have that happening to you. So what you need to start doing is aligning and collaborating and partnering with other students and other children who have the same interests. And even if they have different interests, they must at least have the same value, the same attitude that is go-getting, that is one of commitment and honor to the work that is ahead of you. And a very quick example, when I worked at the cleaner company, Media Limited, I'll never forget when the news came in, with this lovely girl, top student, got great grades, always was a part of her extracurricular activities, always representing the school. She went to school one day and her friends came and called her out of her class. It happened in rural Jamaica, actually. Her friends came and called her out of class and they said, let's go down to the river, let's ditch school. And what happened is that even though she was bright and even though she was kind, she was lacking in the you gotta know who you are, you have to have the right friends department. And so she went down to that river just like everyone else. Unfortunately, regrettably, only one person died that day. One person drowned, and it was her. I think it happened in Manchester. All her other friends survived. And when the police called the parents to let them know what had happened, they said it couldn't be because they had left her at the school. So why I'm using that example, though it is a really sad example, is the fact that your friends have an ability to influence you and the decisions that you make. Your friends will influence your thoughts and your actions, and so you have to be extremely deliberate about who it is you are going to call friend and who you are giving access to that influence. And so what I ask is that when you go to school, of course, love everyone, accept everyone, be friends with everyone, but there are few who you have to give access to you, who you will call brethren and sisters, who's going to walk with you in the right direction. And that is why when your parents sometimes say, I don't really like that person as your friend, sometimes they see more and they see ahead things that you do not see. So be deliberate. It doesn't mean you're to ostracize other persons, but be very deliberate about who you choose to align with. I'm coming down to a close because I know that my time is running and we have to hand out some awards. Commitment and honor. Please understand that everything you want in life is not going to drop in your lap. If I ask you, do you want to be paid a lot of money when you get older? Every time I ask that questions at school, the children say yes. And when I say, do you want a car? Do you want your company to give you a car? They say yes. And when I ask them, do you want benefits to travel, health, life, everything? They all go, yes. And I said, well, that's fine. That's all well and good, but that's not going to drop right in your lap. That is something you're going to have to work for. That is something you're going to have to earn that makes you valuable. It makes you an asset to anyone who works with you. And sometimes what that means is when you come out of university or college, you may not get that big salary that you expect, but it doesn't mean that you should stop working. It may not mean that you get the particular titles and trophies that you may want, but that doesn't mean that you stop honoring and committing to the job. If I asked you, how much money do you think I earned in the first week of my first job, what would you say? Would you say $50,000, $100,000? When I ask the students at schools, they always guess that maybe I earned $150,000. My first job, I earned $20 a week, which was equivalent at the time to 2,500 Jamaican dollars. But I didn't watch the money. I knew I had a job and I applied myself and I dedicated myself. And at that job, I became employee of the week every single week. And at the end of my tenure, the general manager came to me and said, "Hey, I see you're just here for summer, but we would love to offer you a permanent job." So what I'm trying to tell you is that you won't necessarily get everything you want right away, but you still have to apply yourself with the right attitude, the right perspective, and the right outlook in order to get the next opportunity, which is the next big thing. Please do not be entitled. Please do not think that people owe you anything. And please do not believe that you are going to earn X amount of money without putting in the work. Put in the work and everything will follow. Lastly, as you grow older, you will be using social media. Some of you might already have your social media accounts, and that is fine. I am not here to tell you that social media is a bad thing. In fact, when used correctly and when used responsibly, social media can be a tool accessing other places and for being huge change makers, influencing other communities. So I take the opportunity to remind you that whether it is Snapchat or TikTok or Instagram, please think before you post. Confirm before you repost or retweet. Think and act responsibly, because your actions on social media can affect your opportunities in the future. Last but not least, don't underestimate the power that you have. Don't think that you have to wait to be 23 or 25 in order to make change, or that you have to wait till you're 40 years old to make the change. We have Malala, who was a Nobel Peace Prize winner in her teens, and she spoke about giving access and education to girls in the other part of the world, the eastern part of the world, where education is not for women or girls over there. We have Greta Thunberg, who influenced millions of children to walk out of school to fight for action when it comes to climate change. She was 16 years old at the time, and now at 19 years old, she makes speeches and addresses delivering to world leaders. So don't let anybody tell you that you're too young or, wait your turn. It is your turn to look, observe, assess. Where are the problems and where can you be the change to solve those problems? And you can start right now. So know who you are. Be empathetic and understanding to those who are around you. Align and collaborate and partner with the right people who you can trust as friends, the ones who will have your best interest at heart. Commit, honor, apply the right attitude, even if circumstances and conditions aren't the best, because the opportunity will come. Use your social media platforms responsibly so that you can have the impact and influence that you need to have. And lastly, do not underestimate the power that you hold, the power that you are, and what you represent. Claim it, go forth. You will fail, you will make mistakes. Don't take it hard. Don't take it personally, because all of the change makers in this world once failed but decided to get up, brush themselves off, learn from those mistakes, and keep it moving. Therefore, to all of the change makers, the ones who said lawyer, pilot, pediatric endocrinologist, I never even know that word at the PEP level. Congratulations again. The road will not be easy, but that's okay, because you, as the change makers you are, will adjust. You will adapt, you will be agile, and you will go forth with a very open and growth mindset. I thank you so very much, and to the parents who continue to work in the background to give them all the support they need. God bless you. I know it has not been easy, and I know whenever we see their success, it is a reflection of the work that you put in. So to the Separate family, thank you so very much for having me. And I will be here to clap on all of the names and all of the awards that are won this evening. Thank you so very much.